Yamada is a scary, deformed, broccoli-looking dude who hates school, but his life changes when he meets 7 girls who are powerful witches, and they all want to kiss him. Before that, he was a delinquent who was scolded by his teachers on a daily. The teacher tells Yamada off for being a horrible student and that he should be more like his classmate, the blonde baddie Urara, who has excellent grades and a great track record. Yamada walks around school with people avoiding him for looking scary and having a terrifying reputation for picking fights. Instead of being inspired, Yamada feels disgusted towards Urara, the model student, and he tries to mock her, but slips like an idiot, falls on her, and to their death. Yamada sees the white light with an isekai calling for him, but he wakes up feeling fine. However, he sees his own body and realizes that he now has a pair of melons and lost his pickle between his legs. He starts panicking, thinking someone did surgery on him, but quickly realizes that he has turned into Urara. Yamada runs to find Urara, and he finds her in his body, studying in class like a model student while everyone is confused about what expired drugs he had taken before. Yamada pulls her out of class and demands an explanation, and Urara has an idea that they should recreate them falling from the stairs again for things to go back to normal. Yamada agrees and wants to do it now, but Urara refuses, not wanting to faint and miss more classes. Despite feeling weird having a stick between her legs, she tells Yamada to wait until after school to do it. After realizing his position, Yamada channels his inner degenerate by going into men's bathrooms, peeking at his own body and plumps while adding to his midnight fun session. Some thirsty NPCs try to flirt with Urara and Yamada uses a cute reeze on them, but instead of folding, they feel weird seeing how different Urara is. Then, Yamada gets bored and wants to go back to normal, but then some girls call him up, inviting Yamada to eat lunch with them. He opens the lunchbox, realizing it tastes good, and devours it, but the girls start laughing and one of the girls, Rin, says that Yamada should get ready for the next class. Yamada opens Urara's bag and pulls out a book, but when he opens it, it's full of insults toward Urara. The same goes with Urara's locker, where Yamada sees that it's full of trash and more insults, and that is when he realizes that Urara is bullied. Later, Yamada vents about this to Urara, but she apologizes to him for going through what she went through with the bullying. Just now, Yamada realizes how he always saw Urara being alone and not having any friends, so Yamada tells Urara to delay them going back to normal so he can show those bullies who their daddy is, but Urara gets aggressive, telling Yamada to stay out of her business. Meanwhile, Rin watches the two of them and later confronts Yamada in Urara's body about it, eating a bag at him, and telling him that Urara should go make deformed babies with Yamada. He doesn't take the disrespect and slowly walks towards Rin to give her a knuckle sandwich, but Urara pops up and gets punched by Yamada. Urara starts being a little wimp in Yamada's body, while Yamada is terrifying in Urara's body, and this frightens Rin to start running away. Later, they're back on the staircase to go back to normal, and Urara tells Yamada that she's thankful for sticking up to her. Then they commence their plan, falling on each other, but nothing changes, so they try again and again, but keep failing. Yamada starts panicking, not knowing what to do to get his sausage back, but Urara has another plan. Urara reveals that they actually kissed when they fell the first time, so Urara doesn't hesitate and goes for the kiss, and they turn back to normal. Yamada can't believe it and starts folding to her, but she acts relaxed and goes back to study, leaving him alone and conflicted with his feelings. The next day, they try kissing again to see if it's real, and to their surprise, they switch bodies again, and calmly Urara asks Yamada to keep this a secret. Yamada starts questioning why Urara is so calm after kissing him and thinks that she's actually in love with him. After they switch bodies, Urara helps Yamada do his exams while Yamada is chilling and eating food, but then a white-haired dude, Miyamura, confronts Yamada, asking to talk privately. Miyamura first says that Urara was supposed to be on a date with him, which makes Yamada panic, and later he starts talking smack about Yamada and his trashy Yi haircut, which annoys Yamada in Urara's body. Suddenly, the thirsty groupies pop up again, simping on Urara, and they start making Yamada disgusted, for they are League of Legends players who don't shower. Miyamura pulls Yamada away like a Chad, but instead gets his teeth kicked in like a wimp, so Yamada takes things in his own hands and kicks them away. The simp starts crying, revealing it's Miyamura's plan all along, and Miyamura tells Yamada that he knows that he's Yamada in Urara's body. Suddenly, Urara shows up after Miyamura calls for her and offers them a private room that belongs to his supernatural club. permitting them to keep switching bodies for their own personal benefit. Then, knowing they've only been kissing each other, Miyamura wants to try switching bodies too and goes to kiss Aurora. But she refuses, so he asks Yamada, who doesn't want to kiss a dude. Being also curious, Aurora holds Yamada still while Miyamura has his way with Yamada's lips, boys love style, and they end up switching, which surprises them. Then they have a theory that Yamada can switch with anyone by kissing them, so Miyamura plans to bring more girls for Yamada to smooch. But Aurora objects to his idea, making Yamada think she's jealous, but it turns out she just wants to keep this a secret. From then on, they join Miyamura's supernatural club while having to help the student council from time to time. But then, a new girl enters, asking to join the club. Being excited to join her new club, the new girl, Miyabi, shows that she can bend spoons, to which she fails miserably, a photo of a fake alien, and a rock from another world that looks like normal rocks. She shows her excitement, telling them that she can't wait to start activities with them, but after Miyabi leaves, they start panicking as they don't have any activities planned, so they decide to just pretend to be an actual club. Suddenly, Miyabi barges in with clean supplies and starts bossing Yamada to help her clean like a slave, and while Yamada doesn't like it, Miyamura convinces him to just go with it. After finishing his chores, Yamada sees an announcement, telling him he has to retake a test, so he goes back to the club, sees that there's only Aurora there, and asks her to switch bodies so she can do the test for him, to which she agrees. Just as they're about to kiss, Miyabi barges in, telling him to do more chores, so he goes and does it. And every time he's about to kiss Aurora, Miyabi keeps barging in, giving him chores until finally, the club is squeaky clean. Miyabi is about to give another chore when Miyamura comes in clutch. Telling her to go to the student council's office for club registration, Miyamura assures Yamada that it will take her a while, so Yamada wastes no time playing tongue twister with Aurora to switch bodies, but suddenly, Miyabi pops up and starts panicking. She reveals that the student council is locked, and after seeing them kiss, she starts crying, thinking that it's an actual club and not a place of degeneracy for students, before declaring war, promising they will pay for lying to her. The next day, Yamada arrives at school to a terrifying post on the announcement board, revealing that he and Aurora kissed, which creates an uproar among the students. Miyabi walks out like a supervillain, telling Yamada he's a bitch boy and that she will make them all pay, so Yamada invites Miyabi back to the club to talk. Miyabi refuses to hear anything from Yamada and wants to leave, but he stops her, telling her she can leave only if she kisses him. Miyabi starts backing up, worrying that this man will make her squeal out happy noises, but Yamada goes for the offense and kisses her. After they switch bodies, Yamada wastes no time knocking Miyabi out to ensure she doesn't get in his way and checking out her plump melons for the culture. Then, in Miyabi's body, Yamada goes around telling people that she lied about the rumors, but it surprises Yamada that they all easily agree. He meets the bully, Rin, and she reveals that no one actually believed in Miyabi's rumor, as everyone sees Miyabi as some idiot who likes to spread lies about supernatural nonsense. Yamada goes back to Miyabi and sees that she's gone, so he asks Miyamura and Aurora for help finding Miyabi, and they come to the conclusion that she jumped through the window. Yamada goes to look for Miyabi and hears from people that Miyabi in Yamada's body was monologuing while posing like an idiotic narcissist. Then Miyamura suggests that Yamada looks for clues on Miyabi's body, and Miyamura starts touching places he's not supposed to touch, and they find Miyabi's cell phone in her pocket. Inside it is a message telling Miyabi to bring money after she got scammed to buy the fake items she had shown to them. Meanwhile, Miyabi is getting beat up by dudes she owes money to, but then Yamada shows up in Miyabi's body and returns those frauds the items she bought. The scammers roast Miyabi, saying that she bought those items wanting to get popular, and it opens Yamada's eyes to feel empathy towards Miyabi. The crooks try to take advantage of Miyabi's body, but with Yamada inside it, he delivers them the 3-piece chicken knuckle sandwich special, showing them to not mess with boss babes. After they return to normal, Miyabi apologizes for spreading rumors and for using Yamada's body to beat those crooks, but getting herself beaten to a pulp. After apologizing, she thanks them and leaves, but Yamada stops her, telling her that she's part of the supernatural club now, which makes her cry tears of joy. Then, to see it with her own eyes, Miyabi pushes Yamada into kissing Aurora so they will switch bodies, and then Miyabi tells Yamada to kiss others for the sake of research, kissing Miyamura. Yamada tells them to stop abusing his power, but Miyabi takes the chance and kisses him to be in Miyamura's body. Lastly, they try the girl-on-girl kiss combo to bless our eyes while both girls are actually dudes inside. Meanwhile, their club got attention from the student council, discussing Miyamura's involvement, who's also a candidate for council president. But a fellow member, Nene, has ambitions of her own, wanting to be the next council president. Days later, Miyabi is stressing herself because the student council refuses to give their club any budget. While the boys don't care, Miyabi argues that the money can be used to make the club room look better by buying TV and research tools. Yamada stands up and asks if they can get a microwave so he won't eat some nasty cold food anymore. Miyabi agrees, and Yamada quickly takes action to get money from the council president, dragging Miyamura to back him up. They barge in the president's office, demanding the president, Haruma, to explain why their club didn't get any budget. Even with all his aggression, Haruma ignores Yamada's demands, and Miyamura explains to Yamada that Haruma only likes women and hates men. After hearing this nonsense, Yamada tries using his terrifying aura on Haruma to get what he wants, but he still doesn't care enough to respond, which annoys Yamada. With everything seems hopeless, Yamada comes up with a plan, switching bodies with the girls, putting him in Ruro's body, and Miyamura and Miyabi use their plots to negotiate with the women only loving Haruma. Then the two of them pull up and start using their girly rees, spreading glitters and showing plumps, but Haruma is not affected as he knows that they switched bodies. Haruma explains that both of them smell like men and not women. But this time, Haruma is willing to negotiate. He explains that he can give them a budget for their club as long as they help the student council solve a problem, and that is to find out why Urora refuses to continue her education in college, despite her being the top student at their school. Then, Yamada tries to convince Urora to go to college, but she refuses and apologizes to them that she can't help with the club's budget. Later, while they are down about Urora's situation, not knowing what to do, Nene and her partner, Ushio, pop up, and Yamada recognizes Ushio, who starts talking smack, saying that Nene will be the next council president and not Miyamura. After they leave, Miyamura explains that Nene is his rival for the president position, and that if he fails to get Urora to join a college, his chance of becoming president is lower. Suddenly, both Yamada and Miyabi realize that their fight to get Urora to college is for Miyamura's personal goals, but Miyamura explains that they have no choice because Haruma, the president, is a dirty fox who's willing to use his powers to get anything he wants, even abolishing their club. Hearing this, Yamada smiles like a sociopath, saying that he's going to go full Ayanakaji on them all. The next day, after class, Urora pulls Yamada to somewhere private and asks him to kiss her so they can switch bodies, and Yamada kisses her without asking why. Yamada quickly realizes that it's because Urora was sick, and now he has to experience it for her, so Miyamura tries to take his chance and nurse Yamada in Urora's body like he's prime Johnny Sins. Miyabi suggests that he just go back to normal, but Yamada refuses as with his current condition, he can skip classes. Seeing this, Miyamura has an idea and tells Yamada to act like Urora and go home to her house. There, it surprises them to see how normal-looking her house is and how cute her room is. They start looking around, pulling out bras and photo albums, and there, they see a younger Urora forcing a smile in the picture. Miyamura and Miyabi starts messing around, so Yamada kicks them out and starts his own research in Urora's room, but he starts fainting and goes to sleep on her bed that has her smell. Yamada starts remembering Urora, and her fake smile haunts him. Suddenly, Urora pops up, demanding an explanation, which makes them start arguing about whether Yamada had a wet dream about her. They kiss and turn back to normal, and Urora reveals that she doesn't want to go to college because she knows she'll be alone, studying like usual with no one beside her. Hearing this, Yamada apologizes for trespassing and goes home, leaving Urora alone and sick. However, Yamada goes back in with a head compress and confesses that at first he hated going to school, but since meeting her, the school has been interesting, and he can't wait to go to college. So Yamada calls out Urora and asks her to go to college with him. Hearing this, they both blush and Urora agrees, wanting to be with him. The next day, Haruma is in disbelief hearing that Urora agrees to go to college, and they praise Miyamura for his work while Nen is pissed. Days later, they go on a school camping trip which Yamada doesn't want to go on. Miyamura and Miyabi cheer him up, telling him that it'll be fun, especially since Urora is in his class. Suddenly, Urora pops up and asks him to do something for her, and it turns out she wants to switch bodies, so Yamada takes her place, getting spoiled by her friends and eating snacks, which he's more than happy to do while Urora in Yamada's body can peacefully study. Her friends talk about how Aurora demands for Yamada to join their camping group, and it touches Yamada, making him want to thank Aurora, but he turns around and sees her puking due to motion sickness, giving him the ick. They arrive at the resort and their group invites them to explore while Aurora goes resting. Later, Yamada finds Aurora studying and she asks to delay turning back, so Yamada uses her body to eat a lot and grow a food baby. Then the girls invite Yamada to take a bath, and he starts panicking and goes looking for Aurora, who's not there, and ends up bathing with the girls. They realize that Aurora has a rocking body with juicy melons, so they start playing with her plumps while traumatizing Yamada. Then the girls tell Yamada how happy they are that Aurora is on this trip, which she usually refuses to go to, and this makes Yamada curious, so he finds Aurora and asks her why she came on the trip in the first place. Seeing Yamada's determination of wanting to know, Aurora confesses that she has always wanted to participate, but had issues getting close to people. Hearing this, Yamada tells her that he's fed up hanging out with girls, so he kisses Aurora, switches back to normal, and tells her to hang out with her friends. Then, on his way to find food, Nene confronts Yamada and shows him a picture of him rummaging through Aurora's bag in the girl's room. Yamada starts panicking, trying to get the phone off Nene. Seeing his reaction, Nene threatens to spread the picture, but offers him a deal to delete it if he prevents Aurora from taking the next exam. Later, after hearing his situation, Miyamura explains that Nene wants Aurora to drop in grades so Miyamura's chance as president is lower. Knowing Nene, Miyamura warns Yamada that even if he follows what Nene asks for, she will still keep the picture and extort him even more, so Yamada has an idea, and that is to kiss Nene and delete the picture. Later, Yamada takes Nene somewhere private and asks her to kiss him, which makes her nervous, but then all her nerves are suddenly gone, and she kisses him with confidence. Nothing happens, and Yamada is confused on why his powers didn't work, so Miyamura wants to test it out and kisses him. But they don't switch as well. Miyabi also goes for a kiss, and she doesn't switch bodies as well, which makes Miyamura conclude that Yamada's power is gone. The next day during a barbecue, Aurora brings Yamada some crusty-ass yakisoba, which tastes like burned dog poo, and Yamada tells Aurora what Nene asked of him, to which Aurora gladly agrees to miss her exam. Aurora thanks Yamada for making her trip more fun. Then she tells Yamada that she wants to spend the summer with him and the club. Days later, Aurora doesn't show up for her exam, but Yamada is still worried that Nene still has his picture. Suddenly at the club, both Miyabi and Miyamura start acting like simps for him, making him lunch. They explain that they have fallen for him, making Yamada panic, and they conclude that he lost his ability to switch bodies but gained a new one to make people fall for him by kissing them. Then they start shoving food up Yamada's mouth, but Yamada kisses them both, which turns them back to normal. Then both Miyamura and Miyabi suggest that Yamada is now carrying an amazing power to make his own harem. Yamada refuses, but when they suggest the idea of using it with Aurora, Yamada gets excited, imagining Aurora giving herself to him. Yamada reveals that Aurora doesn't know that his powers changed and asks them to keep it a secret, as Aurora might leave the club if she can't switch bodies with Yamada anymore. Yamada has plans to get his powers back by kissing Nene again, who's the prime suspect of his power change. Yamada opens the club door and Aurora is there, wanting to switch bodies with him, but he asks her to do it later, and with the others' help, Aurora agrees. Then, Yamada goes to look for Nene, but she's nowhere to be found when he runs to her groupies, who run away from him, and Yamada stumbles on a student's ranking book. Suddenly, Aurora shows up, asking him to switch bodies, and when Yamada rejects her, Aurora asks if he's tired of switching with her, which makes her sad. Meanwhile, the groupies report back to Nene about losing the ranking book to Yamada, but she tells them it's okay and they are her precious followers. After the groupies leave, Nene calls them useless dogs while praising Yamada for being capable, but Ushio disagrees, telling Nene that she shouldn't have kissed Yamada and charm him to love her, while Nene thinks that Ushio is jealous. However, Nene wonders why Yamada is not here yet after she makes him fall for her boo kissing him. After a whole day, Nene is pissed that Yamada didn't show up at all and thinks of the possibility that he's immune to her powers. Suddenly, out of nowhere, she starts simping for Yamada and goes to look for him, which makes Ushio confused. Meanwhile, Yamada has explained his situation to Aurora, who understands his mess, and Yamada apologizes for not telling her sooner. Suddenly, Aurora asks Yamada to kiss her, and despite his objection, Aurora is fine with falling in love with him, so they kiss, but they switch bodies instead. Urara realizes what happened and tells Yamada to never kiss Nene again, while both Nene and Yoshio are watching the whole time in shock, seeing them play tongue twister. Nene walks away and reveals that it was she who fell into her own spell towards Yamada, making her in love with him. Then, Urara explains that Yamada's power is copying other people's powers through a kiss, while Urara's power is switching bodies, while Nene is charming others. Suddenly, Yamada gets yeeted by Yoshio, who demands an explanation. But Yamada doesn't care and starts throwing hands, triggering a flashback. A year ago, Yamada joined the school wanting a fresh start where no one knows him, but his old buddy, Yoshio, shows up. Then, Yamada tries to make friends, but all of their interests are some sophisticated nonsense or trashy isekai, so he gives up and realizes that Yoshio is in the same boat. At first they refuse to be friends, but they end up hanging around each other all the time, becoming buddies. Back in the present, Yamada is kicking Yoshio's teeth in, and after Yoshio reveals that Nene is in love with Yamada, Urara figures it out. Then, Yoshio asks Yamada to kiss Nene again to turn her back to normal. But Yamada refuses, not wanting to fulfill his wishes after Yoshio hurt him in the past. So Yoshio apologizes and promises to delete the pictures, begging Yamada to turn Nene back to normal. His begging doesn't work as Yamada walks away, but Urara tells Yoshio that she will help, asking Yamada if he's okay with Nene loving him, to which he says yes. Suddenly, Urara slaps him, telling Yamada to stop being stubborn and help them. After agreeing, Yoshio confesses that he's also under Nene's spell after kissing her. But he doesn't mind it as he likes who he is now. A year ago, both Yamada and Yoshio saved a girl from some dudes by fighting, and it caused Yamada to earn a suspension after both Yoshio and the girl snitched on him. And from then on, Yamada carried a reputation as a delinquent. The club members start crying after knowing Yamada's story. Yoshio shows up with Nene, and she asks to talk with Yamada alone, which Yoshio is not happy about. After getting some privacy, Nene tells Yamada how her own powers made her happier and obsessed with him. So she asks Yamada to not turn her back to normal, so she can love him and be happy. But Yamada kisses her anyway and tells Nene that he will never love her. Afterward, Yoshio hands Yamada a book about the 7 witches who possess powers, and here, they realize that there are 5 more witches to be found. Yamada has enough and doesn't want to be involved, but Urara raises her voice and uses her rees to Yamada, telling him that she needs him to find the witches with them. Yoshio tells Yamada that he won't ask for forgiveness, but also points out that everything went better than expected as Yamada now has his own wacky group of friends. During the summer holiday, while the others are enjoying their time at the beach, rocking bikinis, and getting themselves wet, Yamada is stuck with extra exams due to his bad grades. Other than Yamada, there's a group of nerdy NPCs with him needing the extra classes, but among them is a green-haired cutie named Mako, who looks to be smart, but is actually as dumb as the rest of them, where they all get bad grades. Then Yamada starts venting to the other about wanting to find the 7 witches and enjoy summer with them. After seeing his tears, Urara offers to switch bodies with him for the exam, to which he gladly agrees and enjoys his time at the beach in Urara's body. Meanwhile, the nerds are in shock seeing Yamada answering questions like he's Einstein, not knowing it's Urara inside. After class, the geeks plan to invite Yamada to their friend group, so Mako nervously asks Urara in Yamada's body if she wants to be friends, and she says yes. But suddenly, to commemorate their friendship, Mako kisses her. However, they didn't switch bodies, so after Urara goes back to her own body, she reports to the others that Mako is a witch since they didn't switch, and that kissing someone randomly is something a witch would do. They don't know what Mako's power it is, so they send Yamada to investigate while in class, but nothing happens, and Mako seems distressed that her powers didn't work, so Yamada tries to make her spill the tea, but Mako runs away. Then Nene and Yoshio show up, and Nene reveals that the Book of Witches is in a room, but the room will be opened only after everyone in the extra class passes their test. Yamada remembers that Mako was optimistic before the test, and that makes him think that her powers can help them pass the test somehow, so Urara suggests that Yamada kiss Mako. Later, Yamada takes a bath in Urara's body so Urara can be Yamada and rees Mako to later kiss him. Nene pops in the bath and starts a girl-on-girl plot fun, but Yamada avoids her, and his actions make Nene realize that it's Yamada and starts panicking. After Urara has rizzed Mako to wanting to kiss her, she switches back with Yamada, and he goes to kiss Mako in her place. However, nothing happens, so they choose to wait, and at night, Yamada starts hearing voices in his head like he's Randy Orton, and realizes that Mako's power is telepathy. The next morning, Yamada meets Mako, who acts all shy and timid, but the voice in her head is like a drill sergeant. Mako teaches Yamada how to use her telepathy, but he struggles to do it as it needs complete a high-level imagination. The other nerds arrive, and here, Yamada realizes that they can use this power to trade answers during the test. They expect Yamada to have the answers after seeing him being smart in class, but it was Aurora in his body, so Yamada asks the others for help with this situation. Suddenly, Miyamura is able to do telepathy, and he explains to Yamada that he just needs to imagine their faces and that he will help him in the test too. However, Yamada has issues during the test as he doesn't have enough time, but he has a solution and tells Mako and the others to trust him, which they do. He uses all his brain powers for the test, and they all end up with high grades, opening the room with the witch book because the test is over. However, the room is clean and the book is not there. The roomkeeper explains that the room has been used by other students, meaning that the book might have already been thrown out. But both Nene and Miyamura know that it's not true and that the president is somewhat involved in this. At night, while they're alone, Yamada tells Aurora his theory that the witches got their powers through their own wish, with Aurora having the powers to switch bodies because she wants to live like others, and Aurora agrees with his theory. Yamada wonders what he wishes for that grants him his power, and he wants to track all the witches to find it out. Aurora supports him, and they're about to kiss when the other pops up, disturbing them. With a smile on his face, Yamada reveals that he knows who the next witch is. The next day, Yamada and Miyamura arrive at the next witch's place after getting the information from Mako that the witch is a shut-in who refuses to go to school. Not wanting to wait, they try to climb her walls, but the witch herself, Maria, appears and asks them to help her rearrange her room. So they do that, but while Yamada does all the work, Miyamura is peeking through panties. After they finish, they find Maria asleep, and Miyamura suggests that Yamada take his chance and kiss her now. Yamada is about to do it when Maria wakes up, begging him to save her from something, so Yamada tells Miyamura to leave them alone. Then Maria reveals that she has the power to see the future, and that in her future, the old school building is burning, and everyone accuses her of being the culprit. She reveals that in her vision, Yamada is there with her, being accused as well, and that made her not want to go to school to avoid him. But seeing Yamada here makes her realize that fate puts them together. Yamada asks her to kiss him, making her fluster, but not for long, as she gladly gives Yamada a tongue-twisting French kiss which stuck to his head till the next day. Then, Yamada shows a hand-drawn picture of himself and Maria in front of the burning building, and Aurora figures out that Yamada saw it from Miyamura's point of view after he kissed him, being able to see himself in the vision like a third-person view. Realizing this, Yamada tells Maria that there is someone else in the future, and Maria reveals that she did kiss a male friend of hers who might be involved with the fire. The friend's name is Kentaro, and Yamada goes looking for him in the arcade and finds him getting beaten by a tryhard in Mortal Kombat. Then, Kentaro reveals that he's in love with Aurora and asks Yamada to help him to get Aurora to meet him so he can confess. To show his gratitude for helping him, Kentaro takes Yamada to the old school building and starts cooking tempura, which makes Yamada realize that Kentaro could be the culprit in the future. Then, with Maria, Kentaro, and Yamada at school, they realize that the fire is today, and they can't stop the future from happening. However, Yamada has an idea, and he goes to meet Kentaro, who thinks he's getting rejected by Aurora, and asks Kentaro to kiss him. Kentaro refuses, not wanting to kiss dudes, so Yamada and Miyamura try to use brute force, but Kentaro sits them both down as he's stronger. After failing, they go back to the club room, and there Yamada suggests that Aurora accepts Kentaro's feelings, but Miyamura has other ideas and sends Yamada in Aurora's body. Yamada starts rizzing Kentaro and asks him to go on a date with her to prevent him from burning the school. Yamada thinks the future has changed, but Maria calls and tells him that it's now worse as Kentaro is in the vision watching the fire, so Miyamura suggests they go with their last resort. Yamada uses Riz and tells Kentaro that he needs to go to delay the confession, but he refuses and professes his feelings to Yamada in Aurora's body. Aurora in Yamada's body shows up, kisses Yamada, and tells Kentaro that they are dating, which makes Kentaro run away and lock himself in the old school building. Aurora shows up, and when Kentaro opens the door to see her, Yamada barges in and kisses him, saving the future by stopping him from cooking tempura. After everything calms down, Kentaro wants to join the club after knowing the truth, and Maria hugs Yamada, thanking him for helping her. Maria reveals that Aurora wanted to sacrifice herself to save Yamada from being accused of switching bodies, and later, Yamada scolds Aurora to never try that again, which Aurora smiles and agrees to. Days later, they identify the next witch named Noa, who can see people's past by kissing them. From the reports, she has been blackmailing students to do bad deeds for her. The student council asks the Supernatural Club to handle them, with the reward being the second book of witches that they wanted. Yamada confronts Noa and her goons and asks Noa to talk privately. Even with Yamada's aggression, Noa acts stupid and does not know about anything. However, Noa starts tempting Yamada, telling him she likes older guys, and there, Yamada sees his chance and asks Noa to kiss him to get her powers, but Noa rejects him harshly, calling him a creep. After his massive L, while the others look for another plan, Yamada sets his revenge and promises to kiss Noa. Later, Yamada struggles to kiss Noa, but Yamada reveals that he knows she's using witch powers. Hearing this, Noa takes Yamada to an empty room, pushes him down, saying that Yamada will spill everything he knows about the witches, and goes for the kiss. However, Yamada has a bad feeling and stops her, telling her to forget what happened. The next day, Kentaro starts panicking, calling for Yamada and Miyamura to the club room. They arrive to see Miyabi crying as the club room is destroyed and their witch book is gone. Meanwhile, Noa has her hands on the witch book while her goons want to be witches themselves. Yamada confronts Haruma, demanding he explain what's going on, and Haruma reveals that Noa has one goal, and that is to eliminate all the witches so her goons can be witches themselves. Hearing this, Yamada informs the others that all of his witch baby mamas are in danger, and after some thought process, Yamada plans to create a trap using the witches. Later, they leave Aurora alone in the club room, and one of the goons enters and kisses her to switch bodies. They start trapping Aurora, thinking they won, but suddenly, she escapes using her inhuman strength as it's actually Yamada inside. Then they try to interrogate the goons, but they refuse to say anything out of loyalty to Noa, so Yamada has another plan to take over their bodies to fool Noa. However, no one knows it's them instantly, making Yamada's plan look like a joke. Noa offers them the books in return for her friends, but Yamada tells her he wants her to stop hunting down the witches, which Noa rejects. After the failed negotiation, they abuse Yamada for not accepting the books. It surprises them that Noa and her goons actually care for each other. And seeing this, Miyamura threatens to use Nena's charm power to turn the goons to their side. The goons beg him to stop and assure him that if he releases them, they will convince Noa to stop her witch hunt. After they get released, Yamada confronts Noa privately and tells her how stupid she is for wanting to take over the school by making her goons create havoc and vandalism. Out of anger, Noa tells Yamada to shut up and kisses him to show him her powers and her past of being locked in the room for hours by her friends. Yamada wakes up from his dream terrified, and now he understands that Noa's power is to see dreams of others' traumatic events. In his dream, he sees Noa getting locked in a storage room for hours, and it makes Yamada empathize with her. However, Noa tells him that her 3 friends experienced worse, and they were framed for their accusations. Yamada tells Noa that he saw her piss herself in that storage room, and it angers her, triggering her PTSD. Noa walks away, calling him evil for saying that, but Yamada tells her he's sorry, and that what he meant was that he wants to help her in helping her friends who are framed. Noa starts crying after she can't save her friends from being the school's laughingstock, and begs Yamada to save them. Later, as they're walking back, the goons pop out and start attacking Yamada, telling him they don't need his help, but Yamada counters, kicking him in the jaw and telling him this action of theirs is why Noa is suffering. Yamada tells them to stop being indecisive and instead help Noa properly. The next day, Noa is clinging to Yamada, refusing to let go after she falls in love with him, and Aurora tells the others that Noa's power makes a bond stronger as it reveals a person's biggest trauma. During the school festival, the Supernatural Club creates a fortune-telling booth. It amuses Nene, so she pushes Ushio to try it out, and inside, he meets Yamada, the fortune teller looking like Rey Mysterio. Yamada starts his fortune telling by telling Ushio to close his eyes, and then Yamada kisses him, and using Maria's power he predicts that Ushio will kiss Nene indirectly, which pleases Ushio. Later, Yamada meets Maria, and she asks him if there's a way to delete her powers so she can fall in love without seeing other men's futures every time she kisses them. Hearing her question, Yamada goes to a man named Tamaki and asks him to delete a witch's power, so Tamaki tells Yamada to follow him. Tamaki explains that his power is to steal a witch's power and that he currently is holding another witch's power. Tamaki demonstrates it by kissing a random girl, peeking at her panties, and the girl slaps Yamada instead. He explains that he turns invisible to those he kissed and that he doesn't want to lose this power by helping him. He kisses Yamada, hoping he can't see him, and walks away, but Yamada sees him just fine. Seeing how Yamada is special, Yamada agrees to his request to delete Maria's power only if he can find out who Haruma has picked to be the next president. Later, Yamada fails to sneak into the council's office and asks Haruma directly who's his successor, but Haruma rejects his question. Out of choice, Yamada plans to use Nena's charm power on Haruma, but when he goes for the kiss, Haruma's assistant eats Yamada off the air, knocking him out. Yamada wakes up being tied up, and Haruma interrogates him while his assistant starts breaking his fingers. Yamada explains Maria's situation, and the assistant, Miko To, decides to help him, explaining that her power, invisibility, was also taken and is now Tamaki's power. Hearing Tamaki is involved, Haruma offers to tell Yamada his successor if he can find the seventh still unknown witch, to which he agrees to find. Then, Tamaki tells Yamada that he will erase Maria's power after they find the seventh witch, and Yamada informs Maria, who is happy to hear it. Maria kisses Yamada, and with her powers, Yamada sees the future where Maria loses her power and Tamaki becomes the president, causing Yamada to start panicking and tell Miyamura that they will find the seventh witch. Seeing his reaction, Miyamura asks Yamada about what he sees in the future. Yamada explains that in the future, Aurora will become Tamaki's secretary, and she will become distant. Yamada rejects this future, and he confesses to Miyamura that he loves Aurora and doesn't want to lose her. The next day, they start their hunt, only tracking down girls, and after Yamada and Aurora leave, Miyamura bows, asking Miyabi and Kintaro to help him and Yamada in the battle for the presidency. During their search, Tamaki is relaxing and not doing anything. But Yamada is suspicious of him, so he kisses the club members to check on something. Yamada realizes that Tamaki has used his power, making himself invisible to all of them, and has been walking into the club room, listening to their discussion, and stealing their hard work. However, Yamada sees this as a chance to outsmart Tamaki. Then Yamada takes Aurora somewhere private to trade bodies for the plan to work, but with his emotions not ready, Yamada is nervous, telling Aurora to wait, but she kisses him and starts the plan. However, Yamada tells Aurora to wait, and he starts telling her about the future he saw, and not wanting her to look sad again like when they first met. Hearing this, Aurora feels happy and asks Yamada to change the future for her. Later, Miyamura reveals that she has an older sister named Leona who knows about the seventh witch, and that the witch caused her to stop going to school. They go to meet Leona, and she throws scissors at them, and so they tell Yamada that he's dealing with this. Leona keeps throwing scissors at him, so Yamada kisses Leona and switches bodies to make her understand. To get information, Yamada in Leona's body threatens to strip in front of everyone, but Leona hits the Ona reverse and starts stripping in Aurora's body, showing the heaven between her legs, making Yamada yield. He starts explaining that he needs to find the seventh witch to save the girl he loves, and while Leona thinks he's a simp, she's also amused by him enough to want to spill the beans. Leona explains that the seventh witch is dangerous, and that knowing her name will make Yamada forget everything about witches. She tells how she was the sole survivor against the witch while the rest of her club members forgot everything regarding the witch. Hearing this, Yamada doesn't care, knowing that he just needs to learn about them again. Yamada tells his friends that after he forgets, they need to bring him back to them and to the club, as the old and savage Yamada won't be easy to convince. Aurora assures him that they will get him back at all costs. Then, Yamada learns the witch's name and tells Haruma that her name is Rika, to which Haruma congratulates him for getting it right and for making Miyamura the next president. But then, Haruma tells Yamada to meet him if he gets into trouble. Later, Yamada kisses Aurora, gets his body back, and tells her to stay away due to him being in danger. However, Aurora keeps following him, refusing to leave him, but he tells her to stay away out of fear that her memory will be deleted too. Aurora still refuses, so Yamada walks to her but slips and ends up being on top of her. She touches his face and tells him that she is the first person he kissed, and she asks him to make her his first again after he loses his memory. After Aurora leaves, Rika shows up in front of Yamada and starts talking about how she knows he doesn't wear underwear or how he watches 7 deadly sins in secret due to shame. Then she tells him to close his eyes, and in a blink, she casts him her magic to forget, Yamada tells her that he still remembers, so she hands him a letter, explaining that he will forget in a day. After a full day of sleep in school, Yamada still remembers everything, so he goes to the club room with the good news, but none of them remember him being a part of the club, and he realizes that the spell backfired. Haruma tells Yamada that he can't help him, and that his friend's memories can never come back. The next day, Yamada is all alone, but Tamaki appears and tells Yamada that he's in the same position as him. Tamaki asks Yamada to help him, but Yamada refuses, so Tamaki chases him around, convincing him to help take down Haruma, who acts as a tyrant and prevents him from being alone forever. Tamaki reveals that he was eavesdropping on him and Rika, causing him to get the spell too. Tamaki starts insulting, calling him heartless, and Yamada punches through a table, frustrated, telling Tamaki that he doesn't know what to do. Suddenly, Urara comes in, surprising Yamada, and asks him if he wants to join the club. Yamada rejects but falls in love again after seeing her face, and he pulls her back, asking her to be his lover. Urara rejects him and says that she likes someone else, causing Yamada to see heaven. Instead of being depressed, Yamada is fired up and he asks Miyabi who Urara likes, and she tells him that it might be Miyamura after he fell on Urara on a staircase. Hearing this, Yamada believes that their memories can be restored, and he wants Urara to remember by confessing again. Yamada gets yeeted again for trying to barge into the council office and starts begging Haruma to help him, but he can't as there isn't a way to do so. Haruma reveals that all the previous witches have turned back to the way they were before they met Yamada. Then Nene appears and tries to get Yamada to be her love slave, and Tamaki tells Yamada to play along so he can get her charm magic. At night, he meets Nene and kisses her, but suddenly, Urara is there, seeing the whole thing before walking away. Yamada chases her, and after having enough, he wants to try to tell her, but Urara tells him that she feels pain seeing him kiss someone else, and it shocks Yamada to see her cry, so Yamada spills the beans. After explaining Urara everything, Urara still doesn't believe his story, so Yamada asks Urara for a kiss, and she rejects him. However, Urara tells him that his story makes her feel better, especially since her club members have stopped showing up. After hearing this, Yamada knows that he has to get their memories back before they all separate from each other, making Urara lonely again. The next day, Yamada approaches Miyamura and kisses him with charm magic, making Miyamura love him too much. So Yamada kisses him again, making him sad after losing feelings. Then, Tamaki appears looking homeless and tells Yamada to give up, but he refuses, believing there's a way. Suddenly, Nene pops up, kisses Yamada, and tells him that it's weird that no one knows him. Realizing Nene is back to normal, they figure that it's the kiss, and kissing the witches grants them their memories back. Yamada thanks Nene for being the only one who remembers, and it gets her thinking. Then Nene kisses Ushio to make him stop loving her, but even after the spell is broken, Ushio tells Nene that he still loves her and wants to know why she did this, and Nene reveals that she's going to stop using her powers to achieve her goals. Meanwhile, Yamada and Tamaki are discussing how to kiss Urara, but suddenly, Rika pops up using instant transmission, revealing that she didn't know about this. She explains that if Yamada gathers all 7 witches, it can grant him any wish, but Rika can't let that happen and uses the spell on Yamada again. Later, even with her objection, Yamada tells Nene that he won't involve her anymore and that he will figure it out alone. Hearing this, Nene tries to confess her feelings, but Yamada tells her to wait until after he wins. The next day, Nene still has her memories and Rika is stressed, realizing her magic only works once, but Haruma has other plans, wanting to stop Yamada. Meanwhile, Nene reveals to the boys that she remembers a faint memory where all the 7 witches gathered for something she can't remember. They suspect it was to restore memories through a wish, so Nene suggests they do it again. However, Haruma issued a warning to the school that a handsome Squidward-looking dude was randomly kissing girls, and he did this to stop Yamada from restoring the witch's memories. Later, Urara asks if Yamada is the kiss bandit, and Yamada tries his best to explain himself, but it doesn't work. After they decide to walk home together, Urara tells Yamada that Miyamura is leaving the club, and Yamada realizes it makes her sad to be alone again, so she assures Urara that everything will be okay. Before he leaves, Urara tells Yamada that he can kiss her, and he goes for it, but Mikoto stops them, ruining the party. Meanwhile, Nene finds the room where the witches previously gather, and Haruma ambushes her, telling her he has an offer. Haruma shows Nene a picture of Yamada kissing Urara, and offers Nene a chance to use his power and win over Yamada's love, but outside, Tamaki is watching them. The next day, Tamaki confronts Nene about her betrayal, but Nene starts crying and reveals that she declined Haruma's offer, knowing that Yamada will always love Urara and not her. Then, Yamada starts kissing the witches like he's a playboy with a golden tongue and restoring their memories. After they get 5 witches down, only Urara and Rika are left to kiss, and they worry more about kissing Rika. Nene reveals that in her research, Rika doesn't exist, not in school data, and not in people's memories, so they decide to go for Urara first. Meanwhile, Haruma issues an announcement, telling the witches to gather at his ceremony, but Nene motivates everyone, telling them to get all 7 witches before Haruma does. Suddenly, Rika appears in front of Nene and Tamaki, telling them to stop looking for her. She reveals that her powers deleted her completely from people's memories, and she adds that Haruma holds his own ceremony to eliminate Yamada, as he is considered someone the council can't control. Meanwhile, Yamada comes into the club room and goes to kiss Urara, not caring that Miyabi is there, hoping Urara will now remember. But it turns out it's not Urara that he almost kissed, but it's Mikoto in Urara's body. He barges into the council room, picks up Haruma, and demands him to tell him where Urara is. Haruna explains that Urara is in Mikoto's body, and she is home, suspended, and that no one is allowed to visit her but council members. Later, Yamada begs Miyamura to go with him to Mikoto's house. Suddenly, Leona shows up, asking Yamada to spill the beans, and after finding out, she starts roasting Yamada, calling him a dumb cow. Yamada gets angry, concerned about how helpless Urara feels, but Leona tells him that bringing back Urara won't change anything, so he should stop panicking. Suddenly, Nene and Tamaki come in and Leona tells them that it's weird that Tamaki is invited to the witches' ceremony. Leona suspects that Haruma will make Tamaki return his power back to Mikoto, which makes them panic, but Leona tells them to calm down and focus on handling Rika first, who is loyal to Haruma. Later, Miyamura thanks Yamada for making her sister laugh after a long time. The next day, they confront Rika, asking her about her relationship with Haruma. Rika explains that she and Haruma are inseparable in love, but Yamada starts talking smack, telling her how Haruma made plans without her knowing, making it seem that Haruma doesn't trust Rika. It angers her, but it opens Rika's eyes that Haruma has been using her. She emotionally tells them how lonely it is to have everyone forget her, except for Haruma, being the only friend she has. Yamada tells Rika that she has him and the others now, convincing her to help him against Haruma, and Rika accepts with the condition that Leona goes back to school so she can erase her memories. Meanwhile, Leona calls them up to meet her and tells them that she knows Rika wants her to go back. Leona reveals that she used to be a member of the Supernatural Club alongside Haruma, but then, Haruma sacrificed himself against Rika and forgot about Leona. Then Leona strips and decides to go back to school to meet Rika, but Yamada rejects, knowing that Leona doesn't want to forget about the old Haruma. She tells Yamada that she can't see Haruma like this anymore, so she goes to meet Rika and tells her to erase her memory and trade that Rika will participate in Yamada's ceremony. Rika starts her spell and Leona tells her how she feels sad about Rika's lonely position, which angers her. Before she loses her memory, Leona goes to meet Haruma, who doesn't remember her, just to see his face, hoping they will meet again, and Haruma drops a tear, not knowing why. The next day, they try to get Mikoto and fail, but Nen has backup and they catch Mikoto using girl power, tying her up. Meanwhile, Yamada and Miyamura are at Mikoto's house, trying to get Urara back. Yamada finds Urara feeling ashamed after knowing what he said was all true. Yamada doesn't care and hugs her, telling her daddy is here. Later, they start the witches' ceremony, but then Haruma shows up, not wanting confrontation. He explains that he doesn't know why he became the president due to his memory taken, but his feelings and emotions remain, so he wants it back by letting Yamada and his 7 witches, title reference, start the ceremony. Then the girls form a circle while Yamada sits in the center, and suddenly, time stops just for him and Rika. She tells Yamada to pray with his heart to make his wish come true. Before he makes one, he asks Rika if she's happy to be a witch, and she answers him by saying that it's heavy to carry and that whoever takes her place afterward will face the same fate, being alone. Then, Yamada makes his wish by Rika kissing him, and the sky turns bright as the Dragon Balls fly away. The next day, everything goes back to normal, with everyone remembering Yamada and welcoming him back, which makes him cry. They start a celebration, but Yamada pauses and he's about to tell them something, but gets interrupted by everyone, including Haruma coming in, wanting to celebrate with them. After everyone is there, Yamada reveals that he didn't wish for their memories to come back, but instead, Yamada wished for the witch's powers to vanish completely, and it shocks all of them. Yamada thinks it's for the best, and they all agree, wanting to live a fun and normal school life, having the power of friendship with them, and making Natsu proud. While the others party, Yamada and Urara are alone, and she apologizes for breaking her promise of not being the first person he kissed. She apologizes that after everything he did for her, Urara rejected him and caused him to use a fake love proposal. However, Yamada tells her that the proposal isn't fake, and that he loves her and wants to date her. With a smile on her face, Urara accepts his feelings, making them a couple, and she asks him to kiss her, but they butt heads out being nervous, so Urara runs away with Yamada following her, not as a witch, but as his girlfriend. If you watch this anime recap and want more animes like this one, comment dating a cute girl saves a man's life, but dating a baddie saves a man's bloodline. If you like anime recaps like this, watch this video.